Welcome to my media company case study for Media Economics MRTS 5620. For this project, we were asked to apply the topics, theories, terminology covered over the course of the semester to a media company of our choice. As a longtime fan of DC and Warner Brothers, I have selected DC Entertainment as my project focus. In order to do my research, I relied on research articles, textbook chapters, book chapters, our textbook for this class, as well as research articles as my method of study. I hope this presentation is helpful in your understanding of how new technology is the predominant driving force of evolution in the media economy and how it has led to the restructuring of the media industry into a multi-platformed one. As briefly discussed in the introduction of this presentation, this case study will focus on DC Entertainment as a multi-platform media enterprise. I chose this topic not just because I'm a fan, but because based on class readings and research, it is evident how important it is for companies to embrace technologies and allow themselves the flexibility to evolve with the consumer and the industry. I saw the case study as an opportunity for me to investigate just how media companies, especially larger, more traditional ones, go about doing just that. I have chosen DC Entertainment because based on my research, DC Entertainment is a quality example of how traditional media firms can keep up with newer digital companies and engage in a multi-platform industry. Before I transition into defining some of my key terms and concepts of my study, this statement, DC Entertainment, perfectly exemplifies a more traditional media firm's ability to use the resources at its disposal, including a vast intellectual property library, existing economic ventures, and the resources of a media conglomerate to work in tandem with new technologies to bolster existing ventures, open up new market avenues and revenue opportunities, and transition into a modern multi-platform enterprise. Summarizes the main idea and focus of my research, which I hope will inquire you to think more in depth in the ways that some of our favorite well-known media firms adapt to new technologies in an ever-changing media landscape. Before we get properly into our case study, I would like to break down some of the more basic terminology and key concepts I will be referencing throughout this presentation. There are 4 different levels to the media economy: global, national, household, and individual. Due to new technologies, there has been more emphasis placed on the individual level than there has historically been in the past. Digital technologies have allowed consumers more agency to pick how, where, when, and from whom they would like to receive their media content, causing a seismic shift in the way media companies structure themselves. For the purpose of this presentation, we will be focusing on technology as the main force for change in the media economy. However, more secondary forces include social aspects, globalization, and regulation. The focus of the media economy is the way in which media firms of all sizes across all media industries work alongside these unique forces. Now that I have established the foundations of the media economy, we can move along to discussing the evolution of the media industry and economy to summarize how the majority of media firms structure themselves today. A multi-platform industry means that new ideas for content are considered in the context of a wide range of distribution possibilities, for example, online, mobile, interactive games, and so on, and not just a single delivery platform such as print or linear television. Media firms pre-digitization functioned on a single platform level. New digital technologies changed how we as consumers sought out our media content, and now that there are more platforms than ever before, consumers can choose more traditional media like cable, analog books, and newspapers, or they can choose to stream their content or read online publications via the internet. The diversification of the media market means that the expectations placed on media firms to make their content as accessible as possible are much higher. I took this image from the class textbook to exemplify all the unique platforms a company can use to bring their valuable property to consumers. NBC has included The Voice in various different media markets, even in some that are quite unexpected given the context, like the video game example. This is a quality example of how media companies can use technologies to diversify their markets, all while maintaining their more traditional analog methods. It is crucial for media companies to embrace new technologies in order to keep up with an industry that never slows down. For the remainder of this presentation, I would like to delve deeper into the potential traditional media firms have to utilize the resources at their disposal in order to commit to being a multi-platform enterprise in order to keep up with the new digital technologies and the new multi-platform consumer. Next, I would like to introduce the media firms contributing to the focus of my study. DC Comics has been a subsidiary of Warner Brothers for decades. Both of these companies are both representatives of legacy media industries, those industries established prior to the creation of digital media. The partnership between these two companies has historically been a successful one, producing both successful films, animated films, video games, and more. The first 2 installments of the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins in 2005 and The Dark Knight in 2008, collectively made over $1 billion at the worldwide box office and was nominated for 9 Academy Awards. Despite the success, the company still faced criticism that they were not making the most of the valuable intellectual property that is DC. In many ways, the exploitation and ownership of intellectual property is the foundation that Hollywood is built on, and it was at this time that DC Comics and Warner Brothers began to explore new ways in which they could take their business beyond more traditional modes of production and distribution, moving into the digital space, especially in regards to these legacy companies like DC, Warner Brothers, and even Disney. Finding new and innovative ways to sell their intellectual property to consumers is one of the best ways these companies can compete in a modernized industry, leading us to the formation of DC Entertainment in 2009. In September of 2009, Warner Bros. Announced their brand new business venture, DC Entertainment, led by Diane Nelson, known for leading the Harry Potter franchise, another popular property of Warner Bros. Said in a press release in 2009, DC Entertainment is a new company founded to fully realize the power and value of the DC Comics brand and characters across all media platforms, marshaling Warner Bros. Resources to maximize the potential of the DC brand. This brand is committed to building and sustaining franchises and prioritizing DC properties as key titles and growth drivers across all of the studios, including feature films, television, interactive entertainment, direct-to-consumer platforms, and consumer products. DC Comics becomes a subsidiary of DC Entertainment, and the company can still produce their traditional media content like comic books, for example, while at the same time allowing the forces of new technologies to expand their brand to new markets and make them pioneers in their existing ones. And for this next portion of my presentation, I would like to give a few examples of DC Entertainment doing just that. Through the launch of DC Entertainment, DC promised its customers new, innovative ways for fans and consumers to interact with their favorite characters and stories. To keep true to their word, in 2011, DC Entertainment announced Same Day Digital, the first time a comic book company went all in the digital-first space. DC became the first publisher to allow variations in download formats, as well as allow digital copies on the same release as print copies. Interestingly, this change led to the sales of both physical and digital copies to increase, and the innovation did not stop there. In 2012, the company introduced DC2, a new, innovative way that layers dynamic artwork onto digital comic panels, adding a new level of dimension to digital storytelling. DC Entertainment pioneered digital-first technologies and innovated new technologies, placing them at the top of the market, and DC's work with their comic books has helped them create new platforms to keep their customers engaged, interested, and coming back. It's the same property, but it's far from the world of comic book publishing as DC's successful franchise of video games based on the DC intellectual property. Warner Brothers Interactive Media and DC Entertainment exist under Warner Brothers, and this represents the benefit of being a part of a larger conglomeration network, because even though these games were not made directly with DC Entertainment, the popularity of them still work to further the brand. The games produced feature on all major gaming platforms, including PC, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and iOS, and they are constantly some of the top games in the industry. Arkham Asylum in 2009 was one of the best reviewed games of the year. Arkham City in 2012 was a successful sequel in the Arkham franchise, and Justice Gods Among Us was incredibly successful, and also several of the LEGO franchise games have all contributed to the extensive profitability of the DC brand, which in return only further benefits DC Entertainment. In 2018, DC Entertainment made one of its boldest moves yet when it launched its own direct-to-consumer platform, DC Universe. The platform offers new original live-action and animated series, legendary films, and epic animated movies, as well as fan community, digital comic books, and exclusive merchandise. This streaming space offered a much more personal experience since it was designed to cater to a much more narrow audience, the DC fan. In order to attract users and bring some exclusivity to its space, DC Entertainment produced its own original content to feature on the platform. DC Entertainment has created a truly unique fan experience. Because of its newness, it is difficult to tell how successful the platform will be. An entire platform entirely dedicated to a single property is very interesting. Disney Plus is one company, but as we know, Disney owns an almost unethical intellectual property library. However, I do praise DC Entertainment for its commitment to developing a new methods to change and engage and attract the multi-platform media consumer. Something that unites these examples together is the interconnectedness of all of these features. While they all represent very different facets of the media industry, comic book publishing, streaming platforms, and video games, they all work to advance the DC brand and can also function as a way to get people interested in the company's other ventures. If you enjoy playing the video games, you may want to check out their comic books. or DC Universe, and so on, which in reality gets to the heart of existing as a multi platform media enterprise in the modern day industry.